Yeah, you can smell the tubes in that old Kalamazoo Model 2. Man, does that thing really sound good to my ears. Thanks for jumping on here today. We're talking about part number 4 of chord chemistry. It's actually section 3 in the book, and today we're covering right hand technique. There are at least 5 different right hand techniques being used by guitarists, and today we're going to cover those as they relate to this book, as it relates to us getting through the book together. So as you may know, you are here in a video series, part number 4. There are 3 that precede this particular video and several that are coming after. So be sure to, number 1, grab your book. There's a link in the description on where to get your chord chemistry book. And any time you purchase a book by any link anywhere on this YouTube page here at Jason Carey Guitar, you are supporting our page, which we thank you for, and at no additional cost to you. So that's the good news. That's some good news. There's always more good news to come, and I appreciate you sticking around for it. But we're going to cover, as you may know if you've witnessed preceding videos, that I'm reading through the book with you, so you'd want to have your own copy. I'll put some things on the screen here, right up in this area for us to look at, if just to have a visual cue while we're working on things together. Like I said earlier, there are at least 5 different right-hand techniques being used by guitarists as it relates to this book. And number 1, the flat pick, which is commonly referred to as just the pick. So many of you have seen a guitar pick, right? It's a flat thing, and it just basically distinguishes us from being fingerstyle guitarists, which I'm going to do today and probably most likely through the series of this entire video sequence. So number 2, a thumb pick and fingers, sort of like Chet Atkins, using the right fingers of the right hand with a pick on the thumb only, wrapped around the thumb, a la Chet Atkins, which is another master. I'm sure you've all heard of him. That's why you're probably here, one of the reasons. Number 3, the flat pick and fingers, which is a combination of using the middle ring and the little fingers with the pick, right? So the middle and ring and little fingers with the pick kind of moving around, which I won't do much of. It's a good idea to get familiar with all of these concepts, but for the sake of getting through the book together, you do whatever technique you've kind of accumulated or working on developing at the moment. If you have questions about how this or that, and if it's not sort of jiving with what I'm doing in the videos here, just drop us a line in the comments, and we watch for those, and we definitely are responsive to those. So if you have questions or concerns about something that you're doing that we're not covering, just let us know, and we will make sure that we bridge that gap. Number 4, the fingers and thumb with no pick. So the fingers and thumb, right, with no pick. And that's kind of where I think I'm going to be. And if you were Wes Montgomery, you'd use number 5. You would definitely use number 5, the thumb only. And then maybe if I turn up the volume, you could use your thumb and just kind of work your way through the guitar. You should experiment with all of them and find the ones that you like best, right? That's what these are Mr. Greene's words. You do not have to use only one technique, as many fine players use different ones for different sounds, as you may know. However, many of the chords in this book require the use of either one of the techniques using the fingers 2, 3, and 4 above, like numbers 2, like the thumb, pick, and fingers, right? The thumb pick and fingers. The 3, flat pick and fingers, and 4, the fingers and thumb with no pick. So we're talking about multiple fingers for multiple attacks simultaneously. That's the really important thing to remember here, because they would not be playable any other way because of the string skips. For example, I'm going to put this on the screen now. Wait for it. Okay. We have a 7 on the A string, fret number 7. That's a fret indicator. If you've been through the previous videos, I think we're up to speed. Fret 7 for this A chord, E note. So we know right away it's not an A note, a root note in the bass. We've got a 5 in the bass, which is cool, you know, makes it sound like a power chord, you know, already. Then we have the root note on fret number 10 on the B string. After all of those strings, the D and G strings, we're skipping those completely, and we're using the finger 3 on fret number 9 on the high E string to grab that C sharp. So that's a really great sound. That's a 3-note chord because it's a triad. So we have an A C sharp, and an E. And you can see that I'm using only my right hand fingers, my thumb and fingers, and that will accomplish everything that we need to accomplish in this book together. If you wanted to use a pick, and then you'd have the second and third fingers, that will also do to help us get around and negotiate those string skips that we will so obviously need as we start to progress into the deep end of the book. I'm going to use the A minor 7 as our next example, and here it is, whoopsh, right there. Okay, so we have an 8. I probably won't do those sound effects because it makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable. If you like the sound effects, let me know and we'll do the Bruce Lee stuff. So we have the 8th fret indicator, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So we have fret number 12 on the low E string. All right, we can do the vibrato like, you know, Eric Clapton, pull it up and out of tune, or we can do the 𝘊𝘩𝘊𝘩𝘊𝘁 or B.B. King vibrato where we kind of wiggle the fingers side to side. If you use enough fingertips, you get enough friction where we actually loosen the string and we come back up into tune, right? That keeps the string in tune. We perceive that as in tune. If we bend like this, we perceive the note as up, sharp. We perceive sharp as out of tune, right? So, helpful tip. Finger 3, fret number 12 on the low E string, the 5th degree of the A minor 7 chord, which is what we're using now. 5th degree of the A minor 7, we have the 4th finger on fret number 12 on the G string, which is the flatted 7th, and then the first finger goes way back, but we're not there yet. 2nd finger is on fret number 10 on the B string, and then finger 1 runs back all the way, reaches back to fret number 8 on the high E string. So we have a 5, a flatted 7th, and then finally a root note buried right in the upper middle range of the chord, a upper middle voice, right? And then a flatted 3rd on the top. Really great sounds, really unbelievable sounds, but we get that control and we can grab those strings individually if we use the pick and fingers, or the thumb and the fingers, or thumb pick and the fingers. That's the secret right here for our success through the book. So you don't need to run out and grab a whole bunch of gear to make it work, just a pick or your fingers, right? I'm going to give you a close-up of my fingers. I shape my fingernails a little bit. You know, some of you might say, ooh, gross. Oh man, his 3rd fingernail's broken, and you're correct. It is broken, and we're waiting for it to grow and get back on deck here. But it's really important for us to, do what works for us so that we can get that tone generated that we like to have. Another word of explanation of technique 3 may be necessary. On 4-note chords, there is no big problem. Once you get used to the technique, number 3, let me go back and refresh your memory. The flat pick and fingers, using the middle ring and little fingers with the pick. So that's something that we can do, and we definitely want to be able to execute that. So we have the thumb, or which would be the thumb and index fingers, holding the pick. Now we need the middle finger, ring finger, and the high E string is grabbed by the pinky. So you'll see, ooh, a little excited there. So you'll see that my thumb or thumb and index, I'll call it the pick, the middle finger, and then the ring, and then the high E string is done by the pinky finger, right? And the pinky finger even has a fingernail on it. So just keep that in mind. You're going to want to spend some time, you know, your daily practice routine can be a real bear to get, you know, initiated. I myself have written out an 8-hour-a-day practice routine. You know, I include a few other things in there, but I have to write it out in order for me to get to everything that I need to get to in a day. And it's really improving my playing. I'm noticing it. I've been really working on maintaining it. And if you do that, good luck. And let me know if it's working for you and what you're using for a practice routine. So we wanted to just kind of rewind and finish up here for today with the Section 3 right hand technique. A word of explanation of Technique 3 may be necessary. So on 4-note chords, there is no big problem. Once you get used to the technique, you just use the pick on the bass, the lowest in pitch, which I demonstrated earlier, note on the lowest bass note, and one finger for each of the remaining strings. So the little finger getting the highest note. However, when a chord has 5 or 6 notes, 1 or 2 of the fingers must get 2 strings by brushing across the strings. On 3-note chords, we use only 2 fingers and the pick, or 3 fingers, right? Some guitarists also use picks on each one of their fingers. You may wish to investigate this technique too, you know, depending on the world that you're aiming to shape up for yourself. Finger picks can be a really fun thing to explore. You know, I'm basically substituting finger picks by maintaining my own nails. And, you know, 𝘀𝘂𝗵𝗵𝘏 𝘊𝘩𝘂𝗵𝘏𝘵 is another, you know, you can watch some finger stylists who are really at the top of the game, you know, moving a lifetime worth of effort into their performance moments. I think that's about it for today. If you have questions, be sure to drop those in the comments, and let's be sure to clear those up before we move on. I'll be hanging out, keeping an eye out for you, and I hope to see you in the comments. And I hope to see you in the next one. I'll see you then. Oh, don't forget to grab your book. If you haven't grabbed your book, you can grab it in this card up here or the link in the description. And until next time, happy picking.